All right, I think we're live. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's virtual write-in. It's been a while since we've had one of these, so it's good to
Yeah,
be back.
I think the last one we had was way back in January, actually. I
Yeah,
did some writing resolutions. Do I remember what my writing resolutions were?
I
I
don't
don't.
know. Does that mean you haven't kept them, or you've kept them and you just didn't remember that you were keeping them?
Yeah, I, you know what? I'm feeling good about my creative practice right now, so I'm gonna say I kept them.
Okay, I trust you. I take your word on that.
Thank you. Welcome everyone who's joining us. If you want to, you can drop in the chat while we're talking, because we'll do a little spiel in the beginning, but you can drop in the chat where you're joining us from. Um, what is another fun fact you can drop in?
What you're working on at the moment,
Oh, that's pretty
writing-wise?
fun.
I
I
don't
was trying
know.
to think of something really funny, but like I couldn't. You can drop in where you're joining us from, what you're working on for camp, and maybe like what the weather is where you're at. So I'm always interested in that. I'm Mariah. I'm one of the program directors at NaNoWriMo, and I'm here in Oakland, California, where it is very cloudy and cold for Oakland.
And I'm Catherine. I'm the communications manager at NaNoWriMo, and I'm in Berkeley. Um, Technically in a different city, but not too far from Mariah, so weather's pretty much the same here.
Um, and I forgot to say I use she, her pronouns.
Oh,
Um,
and I'm she, her, or they, them.
great. And today we are going to be doing virtual write-in. If this is your first one, I'll give you a quick spiel. It's time we come together as a community of writers and as weird, awesome, strange, interesting people. And we will set some time aside to do some writing prompts. We'll do some sprints. So we'll actually be writing together. And your goal is to just like use that time to write. Maybe you use the prompt, maybe you don't, and maybe you share at the end, maybe you don't. But this is a special time set aside during our day to write with a bunch of other cool people. And we wanted to say before we started that we planned this virtual write-in. We planned them in advance, so we had the script ready like a couple days ago, and then last night some very sad things happened, and we wanted to acknowledge that. You won't really see it reflected in the script, but we added some links for how you could support different Asian American Pacific Islander organizations and other things like that in the description. I think Catherine added it in the description of this video. So just wanted to acknowledge the sadness that some of you might be feeling or the variety of emotions. And those are some interesting, not interesting, some helpful resources if you want to give some support.
Yeah,
Um, okay,
yeah, that's on the video description below. Below?
great.
I think it's below, even on mobile. But,
I think so too. Okay.
okay.
So that said, today is St. Patrick's Day, and so our virtual write-in this day will have some prompts focused around luck. And Catherine, I think you titled it "Your Character is a Lucky Day." It's
I
super
did.
cute.
Also, are you wearing anything green at St. Patrick's?
Oh my no! Oh wait, look. This is literally a dog bandana that I just found on the floor that my dog hates wearing. Like he
Oh,
hates it.
perfect.
So he just takes it off and boom, green.
Amazing. Um, I have somebody who's very green here.
Blobby!
Bobby. I'll borrow his hat for a minute. I can wear a green hat, but
How's
Bobby's
Blobby liking his time in your house?
good. I think he likes his little spot on top of the bookshelf and um, roams around, stays up with the dog. So
When he was here with me for a little bit,
mhm.
my dog really was interested in him, and I had to like hide him. Like he had to hide in the bathroom or like places that my dog could not go because he was really interested in Blobby. Okay.
He's been safe here so far.
Whew. Okay. And then one more thing I just was noticing in the notes that you dropped in the chat, or you dropped in our notes. You can't see them. We can see them. But I'll tell you right now, it's that if any of you are working on finishing a draft in Camp NaNoWriMo, so when we survey all of you, thank you so much if you fill out surveys at the end of our events. We really spend a lot of time looking at them. One thing we were realizing is that a lot of people do NaNoWriMo in November, and whether or not you win, you're still not done with your first draft. And so we wanted to set some time aside for a special camp track in April that we're calling NaNoWriMo. Dun dun dun, like National Novel Finishing Month. I forgot the Jaws theme. Oh, da da
Da-da.
da. Where we have a bunch of resources and stuff that's really specific around how to finish a draft, um, not just write 50,000 words. So if that's you, we'll have that available later this week for you to check out. You should just read your emails is where we'll put those links.
Yep.
Cool. Catherine, anything else before we jump in?
I don't think so. I think let's get started with the writing prompt. I'm feeling a little rusty at the moment, so
Oh my gosh.
I feel like I need something easy to get into. So
And people are sharing in the chat what green things they're wearing, which is great.
amazing.
Someone says they're wearing a Baby Yoda mask. I hope that is so true.
Yes.
Green t-shirt. Some people don't know what the weather is like because they haven't been outside, which me too. I'm just looking out the window. Someone introduced themselves as Kit from Colorado, and they're working on a space western. And I'm sharing that with you, Catherine, because I know you go by Kit.
I do, and I also love space westerns. So solidarity for Kit with the space westerns.
Me too. Same, same, same. And Lindsay Werner asked a question earlier that we could probably address right before we start, which is I've seen a lot of questions about the cabins. Could you do a brief overview?
Yes, I will drop a link in the chat here. So technically on the NaNoWriMo site right now, we're calling them writing groups instead of cabins, just because we extended them beyond camp. So they don't end at the end of camp. If you join a writing group, you can keep it going, or you can opt out of it after camp is done, whatever is best for you. But you can either make your own writing group and invite buddies and friends that you have on the NaNoWriMo website to join you. So the link that I dropped in there will take you to the writing group's sort of landing page. And then if you give me a minute to find another link, if you don't have anybody that you know you want to be in a writing group with, we have a specific spot on the forums where you can go and say, hey, I want to be in a writing group with, either people who are my age or people who are writing fantasy or, whatever kind of group you want to be in. You can go to the forums and post in that particular forum and find other people who are also looking.
And also based on feedback that we got from you all around being like kind of nervous about starting your own group or reaching out to join a group, we're going to be having a week where we, again, check your emails and your nano messages. We'll send out a form that you can fill out, and then we'll do some matchmaking where we put together people who fill out maybe info. If you're like, okay, I'm doing fantasy and I'd like to be in a group that meets all year, like we can try to match you with other people. So stay alert for that. That'll be a third option that becomes available a little later. Thanks for sharing those links. Okay, now maybe we can get started.
Yeah, let's do it.
I also feel rested.
All right. Oops, I realized I don't have my phone. Oh, here we go. So this first word sprint is going to be just 5 minutes long, just to get our fingers warmed up. And in the spirit of St. Patrick's Day, I want to know, what is your main character's favorite color and why? What does it remind them of, or what's their exact favorite shade of it? What do they think the color tastes or smells or sounds or feels like? So you can answer this question for as many characters as you want, or if you're feeling stuck, you can answer it for yourself. But just thinking about favorite colors and what those mean and why.
And I think this is cool because I have a novel in progress. It's in a second draft, but like I don't actually know this for my characters. So I'm gonna pause a second. I might not put it in my actual draft, but I think it'll be really interesting to think that through for, like different characters. And sometimes I've found like little gems in these virtual write-ins that I end up really including or building on. So I think that's interesting. Okay.
You ready to get some writing done? All right, so 5 minutes talking about your character's favorite color, and let's start now. Got about a minute and a half left. Okay, that's so go ahead and wrap up what you're writing. If you want, you can share either the color you wrote about, or a favorite sentence, or I don't know, anything interesting that came up for you in that writing prompt uh, in the chat. Oh, I forgot I was wearing this hat. Okay, it's Blobby's.
Blobby. I'm still gonna keep wearing my
Oh, I
dog's
think you're
bandana.
muted, Mariah. Are you?
What? No. Did it
Oh,
stop?
no. I'm just kidding. My computer is muted.
Because that's happened to me before and I don't know how to fix it. And I'm so sick of those things happening. And the amount of times I have to tell someone, like at least I've said at least once a day for a whole year, oh, I think you're on mute, you know?
Yep.
That was an interesting prompt. I started it with a character in my novel and it kind of veered away from, like it started with the color and then it veered into like kind of bigger things, which I always think is interesting. Um, did you try it?
A little bit. I kind of got very off topic very quickly, so it just tends to happen, but it's good.
I think that's
Right.
great. Um, before we move on to, or we're not going to move on, but because I want to see these things that you're sharing. But do you have a favorite color?
Me, I mean, green is actually kind of my favorite color. I'm a big, well, I think probably teal. It turns out that pretty much everything I own, like my bed sheets and my clothes and stuff, all end up being teal. Like my phone case is teal, and it's almost the same shade as my bedspread. And so sometimes I'll lose my phone in my bed because they're the same color. But,
I always said my favorite color was green too, but recently I've been just enjoying like colors more, like really vibrant colors.
mm,
I don't know if that makes sense, but I've been like just like enjoying colors. Maybe because I've spent a lot of time just in my house, and now when I'm like walking the dog, I'm like, well, that's a beautiful color, which is okay. It's nice.
yeah.
Um, so I see people dropping in the chat there some excerpts from what they were writing, and I saw people sharing earlier what they were going to work on in camp. And if we wanted to spend a second, like if no someone's never done camp before, maybe we could discuss a little bit like, well, one, if you want to drop in the chat, have you participated in camp before, or is this your first time? And do you have an idea of the project you'd like to work on? And if not, Catherine and I can talk a little bit about it. Like for instance, I've used camp to do short stories before, which is pretty fun. Like you can do a short story every week. I think that's an interesting goal. I think Catherine, you used camp before to work with to co-write something with someone, right?
Oh yeah, my partner and I were co-writing a novel together, which we never actually finished. We got
NaNoWriMo.
yeah, actually. No, I think we got something like 20 or 30,000 words into it. So it was a lot of fun.
Cool. I know that we say camp you can work on any kind of project, like literally anything. I think that said, a lot of people still do use it to work on novels just because that's like what a lot of you like to do, which is totally great. I think a lot of people use it to revise, set aside time to revise a project. But if you're not sure what you wanted to do and you've been feeling stuck, I think it could be a really cool idea to try something very different that has very low pressure for you. So like this, I was thinking this time about doing a script. Like I have an idea for a movie, like everyone does. I feel like, you're like, oh, that could be a movie. And I'm thinking about just trying something totally new, like writing a script during camp or um, maybe writing like essays. Like I've been storing up a couple personal essay ideas that could be fun to do. And camp is a great time to do that.
I need to work on my thesis for grad school, so maybe I'll use camp to do that.
Yeah, do it. And people are sharing, some people participated last time in camp, and a lot of people are saying it's their first time doing camp. So probably what I'm looking at seems like some people did NaNoWriMo in November and are now trying to, jump back on board with camp in April.
And it looks
What advice
like
do we have for that? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, what?
I was thinking, what advice do I have for that for a person who liked Nano in November and now want to try camp?
I don't know. Well, because I see a few people who have a couple of different things that they're like Rebecca Downer says, I want to edit my 2020 Nano project, but I also have some short stories in mind. Um, and Chat's going kind of fast. So, and anyway, I saw a couple of people like had two different projects in mind. So The fun thing is that there are 2 different sessions of camp. We run one in April and one in July. So if you have 2 different projects in mind, you can try one of them in April and the other one in July. And if you try one of them and you're just like, that didn't go so well, then you can always try doing the other thing.
One thing that we see sometimes is people who really are good with external like boundaries. So when we say you have to do 50K in November, they're like, yes, that's what I need. It's like this external goal. And at camp, we don't say that. We say you can set your own goal and have it be whatever you want. And personally, I like that a lot because then I set my goal for like a little easier and I actually do it. I like to try to do 1,000 words a day. That's like a good goal for me. It's hard, but I can probably do it. Um, but if you're one of those people who are like, if you don't listen to yourself when you tell yourself what to do, I would say set a goal and then get someone else on board with helping you like manage that goal. Like, tell a friend, tell a family member, like this is what I'm trying to do, and then maybe get them to like hound you a little bit, or support you. Because I've heard that before. That can be a little hard or different about camp.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's good to have that buddy accountability.
Yeah. Cool. Should we move? Oh, we can share some stuff. Sorry, we're so rusty. I haven't done this in a long time.
I know, right?
Like, now it comes next.
There were some really good sentences that I loved. Oh, this one by Penumbra Mine Ward. Niall's favorite color is the line of amber on the horizon at dawn because it is the color of his true's eyes.
Ooh. Um, Ellen Porter says the only one who had a different than standard color was the wife of one of the cousins who likes the color you would call elderberry. That's interesting.
Mm.
Let me think. Let me scroll back. BG or Big G99 said she pushed the ruby aside and picked up an old toy. It was red and square. The waterfall crashed down behind her as she realized everything that had happened.
Wow.
A ruby. Ruby is a really beautiful word and also color and image. I love it.
I also just want to know what's going on with this
I want to know what's going on
ruby
with,
and waterfall.
yeah, all of these things. Whenever I read these little tidbits, I'm like, okay, now give me the next sentence. Lloyd Johnston says, Tanya enjoyed, oh, sorry.
No, that's the one I was just going to read. It just
Oh, you go then.
Yeah, Lloyd Johnson said Tanya enjoyed the color brown, a tan shade, the color of the healers. Battles will stop to allow the healer to pass through or lend aid to the fallen.
Like it. It's really cool to see how you can tie a color, rather than just saying like, oh, the color is this or their
Mm-hmm.
whatever was this, like tying it into a bigger meaning is really interesting.
Yeah. I also just saw this description of a camp project by Jim that says camp project is trombone hipster joins the circus in early 70s and learns new life direction through hero's journey, which sounds like a lot of fun.
I read that, but it was too close to my heart a person who plays trombone and joined a street circus playing trombone
I
in the
forgot you played trombone.
in the early 2010s. Yeah. Um, I can't get enough circus stories. I'm super interested in that. Okay, should we move on to our next writerly prompt?
I might have to give Blobby his own chair.
Probably a too big. Okay,
Here you
spirit of luck. Moving on to our next prompt, it is, what is your character's lucky charm? Describe it. Also, how did they get it? Tell us everything. Or if you're like, I don't know what I'm writing about. I don't have a character. What are you talking about? You can feel free to write about a lucky charm that you own. Just as long as you're using this time to exercise your writing muscle, it's great. So, what is your character's lucky charm? Tell us the story of it, or write about your own lucky charm. And I think we can spend maybe like it's hard because we very rarely start on a 30, and we start on a 30, so my sense of internal time is off. So maybe we have like 8 minutes, 5, 8, 10.
Let's do 10. We can do
Let's do
10.
10. Okay. So we'll write for 10 minutes.
All right. Let me set the timer. Okay. Writing for 10 minutes about your character's lucky charm. And let's start now. About halfway there, 5 minutes left. about a minute left. Time is up. Go ahead and wrap up what you're writing. Again, feel free to share a sentence that you wrote or what you wrote about or your word count that you got during that prompt in the chat. Always love seeing those. Did you end up writing about a lucky charm, Mariah?
I did a little bit actually. Mine was mostly like a series of questions to myself where I was like, it started with like this character's lucky charm, and then this is a project that I've been away from for a couple months, and so it started just being like trying to figure out why I'm feeling so blocked on it, and but I did think about lucky charms.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love prompts like this where you could just like pick one thing like a color or a lucky charm and like really go into it. They feel so low, like they're not threatening at all. I'm like, okay, you can do this, you know?
They're just nice, fluffy little prompts.
Yeah, it's one little prompt. Get it done.
Yeah.
So for sure.
Yeah, I wrote about like a stuffed animal kind of becoming a lucky charm with all of the love that's put into it. And then I kind of went off on a tangent about have you ever seen those like stuffed animal like hospitals where you send in your old stuffed animal and they take little pictures of them on like a hospital bed or whatever, and then you get it back and it's all nice and clean and new.
Yeah,
That would
that's
be a
sweet.
fun story to write, I thought.
That's very cute. Um, so speaking of getting stuck, like I shared I was stuck. You can share in the chat what your like a sentence from that lucky charm prompt. I cannot, television has ruined us because like I cannot say Lucky Charm without hearing in my head, Lucky Charms, they're magically delicious, which is so annoying because, ugh, that's all I'm hearing.
AR Hansen asked, is it cheating if the lucky charm is an enchanted lucky charm like the cereal? So you're
Yeah, it'd
not
be
far off.
so funny. But anyway, we were wondering if there are any of you out there who are trying to finish a novel and you started it and then got stuck, abandoned it, whatever reason. Um, So you can tell us like about your block, like I was writing about my block. Or if you're on the opposite side of that and you have finished a novel, like not like finished writing at least the whole first draft of a novel, do you have any tips or advice for how to do that for people who've never done it? And I'll think about that for a second. Catherine, I know that both of us have finished at least the first draft of a novel.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I have any good advice for it though, because the one that I finished took me literally 10 years to do,
hmm,
like to finish the first draft. And now I'm like, I don't know if it's ever gonna see the light of day. But
yep.
I
I,
guess I guess don't give up. If you feel stuck, you could finish it 10 years from now and that's okay.
I have I have one I have finished the first draft of at least three novels. Two of them, I promise you, will never see the light of day, like ever. And then the one that I'm working on now, I still have hopes that it will see the light of day. And I think my advice for how to for doing it is like do as much as you can doing like in order, like following your plan, doing your scenes, not skipping ahead. That's for me, that works better is like staying in order. And I read this quote once that was like, if there's a scene that you feel like it's really hard to write, it's probably really important that you write it. So don't like skip it, like write it and see why it was so hard for you. But then I would say if it's a choice between finishing your novel or skipping around, like skip around, you know? Like if you're like, I'm super stuck, then like just skip like to like several scenes ahead, or write the ending of your novel and then like write the scene just before the ending of your novel, or
Mhm.
um, because one thing that I know about finishing is that it's definitely a different muscle than it is to start a novel. And if you
Yes.
never work on that muscle, like you're never going to get better at it. So now I bet there are a lot of if you've started a bunch of novels, you have that muscle down, and now you really need to finish that. You need to work on that finishing muscle, which is different.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I definitely I definitely feel that the one that I'm working on now, I started during NaNoWriMo in I think 2018, 2019, something like that. And I'm down to the last two chapters. And I've been needing to write the last two chapters for about 6 months now.
Wow.
um, and it's
Oh,
hard, but yeah.
it's totally hard. Yeah, it's not easy, and you have to remember all the same things you learned as a writer in the beginning. Like it's gonna feel bad, and you're gonna hate it, and like all this stuff. One thing that has helped me before is if I feel really stuck in the ending, sometimes it's because something in the beginning is off. So I'll
Hmm.
go through and like read the beginning, and then find these places where I'm like, oh yeah, this doesn't make sense anymore, or this way. But rather than going back and rewriting those original sections, I just make little notes about what I'm going to change. And then I keep that story in my head. And then when I get to the end, I just write the ending as if I revised the beginning. Because another trap you do not want to get stuck in is that, oh, I'll just revise this beginning half and then I'll finish. And then you do that and you're like, I'll just revise this beginning half again and then I'll finish. Like you
Yeah,
end up with, like you don't end up with a story. You end up with like a revised first half of the story.
yeah, yeah. Definitely. I think for me, it's like the pressure of, oh no, I like started all these threads and now I have to weave them together in a satisfying way, and just remembering like it's not going to be satisfying or good in the first draft. That's okay.
That is good to remember. Yeah, like it really happens in revision and you can't revise if you don't have anything. So you gotta finish.
Yeah.
You gotta finish it.
Um,
Um, Go
Rebecca
ahead.
Downer said that their number one learning tip has been to title scenes and chapters and ideas to help with editing later. Um, Sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah. Anthony Stevens says they started their first draft back in college but never got very far in it. I skipped around and just within the last couple years realized what the real story and characters are.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing to remember too. Like sometimes things take time and
Mm-hmm.
just like marinating, like letting them marinate in your imagination, coming back to them.
Yeah. Quill of Duck says sometimes I worry I write about stuff that doesn't matter in the story, like too much fluff. And I definitely get that because I have the impulse to write like I need to write that they are walking from this one room to this next room to make sure that the audience knows where they are. Like I need to come up with their entire backstory for this one line. But I think especially in the first draft, like it even if it doesn't matter to the plot, it is important to your understanding of the characters and what their relationships are. And I think when you go back and rewrite it, that really shines through and like is distilled in the second draft, because then you have this wealth of information to pick like, oh yes, I can see because it's there on the page that this is the important thing to tell the reader in this moment.
One thing that also helped me that you could try during camp if you wanted to do something different is writing something short all the way through because you just learn the moves and like you learn your own habits and like you learn, okay, this is the part, like you just learn how to finish a story. And if that story is 5,000 words rather than 50,000 words, then you can practice that, just that like starting, middle, finishing loop. You can run it a bunch of times. And then once you start getting that, you know, muscle down, then it can be a little bit easier maybe to tackle
Mhm.
a novel ending. Anyway, to our next, we can move on to our next prompt. We could share, people shared some interesting lucky charms that we didn't get
Oh
a
yeah.
chance to share out, so we could share a couple of those. Let me find one.
Ooh. Nile Woman said, my lucky charm is a pair of small circular knitting needles that Eliza gave me. They really helped me when I was getting abused by my ex-boyfriend. I used them to document the abuse. That is a very, very deep use of like lucky charms.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Um, Imaginos Des Denova says, my character keeps a pacifier as her lucky charm, hoping that it will be good luck for her and her unborn child on the alien world they're stranded on. Lloyd, I was trying to read a different one. If I recognize the same name, then I'm like, oh, I should share somebody else's. But Lloyd, I like yours.
Oh, Anthony Stevens said David's lucky charm is the medical ID bracelet he inherited from his dad. He doesn't know why such an item, just one more reminder that he is different would make him feel lucky.
Kit Madden says, Graham had turned to see the cheeky smile Harlem had reserved only for him. His face lit in gleeful recognition, and he turned out his pockets. Harlem's hand shot upward to catch the small item Graham had tossed over the crowd. But they didn't tell us what the item is.
Mm.
I'm interested, though.
Makes
Okay.
me think of Mardi Gras, just trying to catch whatever's thrown.
Yeah. I was picturing like, I don't know what I was picturing. Okay. Shall we? Oh, Big G99, smiley face, this emoticon face says, how many sprints will we be doing? We'll be doing one more. So maybe we can move into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. So this last one is your character gets a piece of unbelievably good luck. What is it? Are they happy or suspicious, or are they so used to being lucky that they don't even notice? And if you're feeling stuck, you could write about a time that you got a piece of good luck. I like this one because normally we write about our characters only getting bad things like happen to them. And it's interesting to imagine like, okay, what could be a piece of good luck that would move the story forward or give a little balance.
All
You
right.
could also just write about a piece of luck you want to get. Send that out into the world.
Yeah. How long should this sprint be for?
I think we could do another 10 if we wanted. And
Yeah,
then have
why
a
not?
couple minutes at the end.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, time to write. I'm trying to pump myself up. I don't know how well it's working.
Today's a sleepy kind of day. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think it's the gray weather outside.
I think so too.
All right, so 10 minutes. Your character gets a piece of very good luck. Let's write about that starting now. got 5 minutes left, so we're halfway done. Got about a minute left. All right, time is up for that one. Go ahead and wrap up what you were writing. And if you want, drop an excerpt or the number of words you wrote during that sprint in the chat. All right. How'd that one go for you?
It was going good, and then my screen did this weird thing where it was like this huge, just the bottom of my whole screen went black, and it was frozen with my face and making a horrible expression, like. And then I took a photo of it to send to Catherine to explain why I might be dropping off the call. But before that happened, it was interesting. I was kind of just going with I was continuing the prompt that we started previously because I wasn't done with it yet, and I liked what was happening, so I kept doing that.
I kind of just got into a sort of flow of consciousness, which is good. It helps me remember, like, oh yes, I can write a lot of words, even if
Yeah,
they don't really mean anything.
yeah. Even if they're just like weird stuff that are coming out of my brain.
Yeah, whatever's popping into my head.
Yeah. Feel free to share in the chat if you'd like to share like a final word count. Or you already said this, Catherine.
Oh,
Did
but
you?
no, I didn't say. Yeah, if you want to share like what you wrote during the entire, if you were here for the whole hour today, what you wrote during this write-in, that's always fun to see.
Yeah. And we're just about out of time. So let me think if there's any reminders. If you haven't started your camp project yet on the site, please do. You can check out those camp cabins, aka writing groups, um, on the NaNoWriMo site. You remember that Catherine shares some links, and then also just stay, tuned in your email for information on our matchmaking week, and where we'll help you get matched into cabins or into groups or cabins if that's what you want, and our NaNoFinmo resources if you're interested in trying to finish a project.
We had a lot of fun coming up with shark puns for NaNoFinmo, so we're excited to share those with you.
Yeah, there's a GIF that I really love of a shark just like moving a keyboard around really angrily, and I look at it like at least once a day thinking like, yes, I identify. And I think that's it, right? There's no other. We'll do another virtual write-in next week. Is that right?
Yeah, I think if this time worked for people, I know it's a little weird to start it on the half hour, but that ended up being the best for our schedules as they shifted around. So if this time works for people, I think we'll keep it this time. And if you missed it or if you came in late, um, our virtual write-ins are always available on YouTube, so you can watch them whenever you want.
And you'll meet our new intern, Jordan, I think at the next virtual write-in, who will be helping lead the ones through April. So that's exciting.
Oh, Kit
Okay.
Madden asked, do you know when that form will be sent out for the writing group matchmaking?
I don't do we? Was it like Thursday? We just had a meeting about this and we just said when it would be sent out. I think probably it'll just come in an engagement email that Catherine sends, right? So an email from NaNoWriMo. It'll,
Yeah,
we'll definitely make it really obvious when it comes to you. So
yeah,
just check your emails from us. We try not to be too spammy and
yeah. I think either at the end, probably around the end of this month is when it'll be sent out. So keep a weather on the horizon.
keep a weather on the horizon.
Weather eye on the horizon.
Oh, I've never heard that expression.
I
I
don't know.
love
I
that.
think I probably picked it up from Pirates of the Caribbean or something. Knowing
Cool.
me.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Otherwise, I guess we'll just go back to our normal lives.
But we'll see y'all next week.
Yep.
So,
Bye.
bye. This is fun. Thanks.